All right, all right. Well, happy holidays. Soon to be happy new year. Um, if you are on my YouTube, thanks for watching. If you're on my podcast, because I'm recording, thanks for listening. This is hopefully going to be super short because I got something to do. Um, 1 second. Okay, sorry. Son's supposed to be taking a nap. Clearly he's not. Um, but hey, this is gonna be super quick. I was driving and I was listening to Chutabavas on Nightline Astrology talk about Jupiter moving into the sign of Pisces at the end of this month and what some of the archetypal themes are for that. And I was thinking about it, and for some reason, and maybe this is just simply because of where this is happening for me. So, in my birth chart, this is going to be going into my ninth house, and it's going and I'm going into an eighth house um, perfection year. So, a lot of philosophical, religious, all of these topics are going to be very strongly prevalent for me in 2022. So I was thinking about it, and the phrase God is in the stars, God is in the cosmos. And so I decided to do a video on why astrology and a podcast. Sorry, podcast folks. Not, I just wanted to talk about why astrology and why, because, and I think this stemming from um, the podcast episode I did yesterday on why ancestral veneration. So I feel like there's just kind of this theme of whys. And this is for me personally. So this is my own personal thoughts, feelings, ideas. You don't have to agree. The fact that you disagree isn't going to make me not agree with myself any less. It's just is what it is. So let's just talk about what that is. So astronomy is the study of the cosmos in terms of the celestial bodies, how they move, where they're going, what they're doing, things like that. Astrology takes that information and merges it with spirituality and says, what are the themes present now that these bodies have moved into those positions, and studies how those planetary, celestial bodies impact Earth's energy, our energy. Um, and I know a lot of people do not put stock in astrology. Um, 1 second. Okay, so sorry about that. But they don't put stock in astrology. They're like it's all just a coincidence, mumbo jumbo, blah 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 blah. So this is my take um, on astrology and why people study it, believe in it, and have faith in what's happening. So start at the beginning, where God created everything. God created everything. So we can go further than that. Source, God, the universe, spirit, most high, nomenclature notwithstanding. Um, Most people who believe in a higher power believe there is a higher power that created everything, not simply earth, but literally everything. Okay. So energy cannot be created nor destroyed, can only change form. And so source has been taking aspects of their energy and creating or inspiring other beings that they've created to create using their source energy, because we are of source and thus we have sources creation energy within us. Um, so that means the planets, the stars, the moon, the sun, the meteors, that all of these things are created and thus have an aspect of source energy. So what's causing the planets to move? Well, if source controls everything, that means source has laid out a plan, a design for when these celestial bodies are going to shift positions. Is this random? Or is there a reason why source said on this day this planet is going to be in this spot, and on this day this planet is going to be in this spot, and on this day this star is going to be in this spot, and all of these various things are going to be in alignment in this particular way on this day. If you've listened to me for a while, you know I don't think that the creator of worlds has time to simply be random. I just don't. I just feel like from a logic perspective it's illogical. That's just me. That's my personal. I feel like it's illogical to believe that there is not a design. And if there's a design to anything, that means a design to everything. If there is a design, there is a design to everything. Even if in that particular moment you don't understand the design, does not mean the design does not exist. Doesn't mean that it was not a domino that had to be knocked over in order for this other domino. Are there multiple avenues for these dominoes to fall? Yes, because there's multiple planes of existence, there's multiple dimensions, so there's multiple paths because any conscious being, well, most conscious beings, because not all, have free will. So because we have free will, the dominoes have all of these infinite pathways for which they could fall. What astrology does is show you the energy of, I'm going to say, the path most likely to be your path. You can choose not to align with that energy. That is completely your choice. But it doesn't change the fact that we're all made of energy. Dense solid objects are denser, slower moving energy. The things we can't see but we feel, like emotions and thoughts, those are faster moving energy. All of it is energy. And thus, the energy of the cosmos that's moving throughout the space, Earth is in space. That means as the light's moving through the planets and the gases and things, all of that is coming towards Earth. It's all coming towards us. And for me to feel like there's zero impact, even from a scientific perspective, I just don't see that as being logical. There's some impact in some capacity, some, even if it's on the most minute scale, I feel like there's an impact. And I also feel like, why would God make the planets move? If there wasn't a reason, why wouldn't they just stay still? Why is everything moving? Why is everything in motion and ended up in these lines and geometric patterns? Like, why? Why is that the case? Because there's a design. And because when we chose to come here to this realm, to this plane, to this earth school, however you want to word it, the act of being born is traumatic. You are warm, you are safe, you're in this dark place of infinite potential. You're right there listening to your mother's heartbeat, and then all of a sudden, the body's like, you gotta go. And you're like, wait. And your body's like, nope, it's time for you to go. And you're like, wait, I'm here. And in this space, in this womb space, because as you know, if you don't know, women are the portal between heaven and earth. We literally are holding the soul in place for it to move into earth, into a body. That is what women are. And as this is happening, the planets are moving. Planets are moving. And then at just the right moment, you're born. And a snapshot is taken. And this snapshot, this blueprint is a guide to help you remember why you chose to come to earth. It's to help you remember. This is people learning to understand the conversation they had with God before incarnating. I was listening to a book and I love the way she described it. She said she envisions as a soul, you go when you're sitting, you're like, I think I'm going back to earth, God. And God's like, okay, well, what do you want to do? And you sit there and y'all talk about it. Some people say there's a council that God has put in place to handle this because God's busy creating. God's creating, But God has not left you because all these other aspects of God are still present to help you on your journey. And He's talked to all these different souls and said, you're going to teach people this, and you're going to show people this, and you're going to be able to see what's happening in the stars, and you're going to make sure that other people see what's happening in the stars so they too can understand. Because I know you're going to forget. You're going to forget once you're in that physical body, you're going to forget why it is you chose to come to earth, because you're no longer in complete resonance with the energy from source. You still are carrying my energy with you, but once you get disconnected into that physical body, you're not going to be able to hear your higher self as clearly and as loudly. So we're going to make sure that we leave breadcrumbs and tools and resources for you to use so that you don't have to try to figure it all out. Some things you are going to have to figure out on your own. Some things are just going to have to be trial and error. But whenever possible, I want you to be able to align with the way I'm moving energy. And that's what astrologers do. They say, hey, this is how this energy impacts you. You can work with it or not. Either way, it's the present. Looking at Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius. Jupiter rules organization, structures, justice. Saturn is the enforcer. And those two coming together, Jupiter don't necessarily always like to work with Saturn. It's a little bit more free, but when it's with Saturn, it's like, look, this is the values that I feel are important. And as we look at how this has shown up in now and all of the things we're saying in terms of like people in companies changing how they do things, when we look at how people feel about the government and how this, this back and forth on what's right and what's wrong, that's Jupiter and Saturn trying to work together to move us into an alignment. It's trying to move us into an alignment. Um, Venus going retrograde. Venus going retrograde, depending on where it's at. So for me personally, it is literally retrograde in my house of relationships. And so all of these various relationships are starting to show interesting things. Um, yeah, really interesting relationship dynamics across the board. Platonic, like all these random, it's just really Venus retrograde. So I am paying attention to who and why they come and trying to discern what I'm supposed to be learning. What does God want me to learn in this moment? What is my soul's journey right now? And what am I supposed to be learning, and why am I supposed to be learning it? What blessings are coming from this experience? So this is why astrology is not taking away God. And I don't know why people always feel like simply because you have a tool to help you understand the Most High, that you're not connected to the Most High. That just doesn't make sense to me. It's not the word I wanted to use, but that's going to be me rising above my ego. And that's the word I'm going to use. Astrology does not negate people's belief in source. Astrology enhances their belief in source. Astrology does not negate their faith in their spiritual practice. It enhances it and helps them come closer to source. Because for me, that's exactly it. I was able to see in my own birth chart the fact that I have an infertility condition. I can see it in my birth chart. I wasn't look it popped up. So I say, if you don't understand it, it doesn't mean it's not working or it's not right. It just means you don't understand it. And maybe talk to somebody who does, to help you get a deeper understanding of what you don't understand. And maybe see, once again, as I said before, same journey, different path, different languages. You're just caught up in the semantics. I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope you got something from this. Thank you so much for watching. And y'all have a beautiful rest of your week. Bye.